Good morning, everybody. Hope your day is going great, because today is a great and special day. Today is Lag Baomer. Let me tell you a little bit about Lag Baomer before I give you a thought connected to it. So which event attracts the most Jewish people? Is it the Patriots game? Is it Madison Square Gardens when they make the finality of the Talmud? Is it the Grateful Dead concert? The answer, of course, is that the event that attracts the most Jews in the entire world is today in Meron, Israel. Meron is all the way up north near Tzfat, and it is where the great sage who passed away 1800 years ago, Rabbi Shimon Yartzeit, is buried. Rabbi Shimon Yartzeit was one of the greatest sages in the time of the Talmud. And in fact, the Zohar, which is the essence and the most important book in Kabbalah, is attributed, which is a translation, which is explanation on the Torah, is attributed to Rabbi Shimon Yartzeit. And he passed away on Lag Baomer. And on an ordinary year, 500,000 people go to Meron to pray at his resting place. And Jews all over the world make big bonfires because the fire represents the light of the Kabbalistic and later the Hasidic interpretations and deeper significance of Torah. And it's celebrated in a very special way. It's a day that brings tremendous blessing, and especially for children and those who can't have children to be able to have children. Of course, this year, unfortunately, due to the coronavirus, there are no people in Meron, or very few, and it's all done virtually, where there's people lighting the bonfire and celebrating, but most people are not there. Now, the day of Lag Baomer is called Bei Hilula, the wedding day of Rabbi Shimon Yartzeit. And of course, the question is, who ever heard of a funeral, of a day of a passing, to be called a wedding? In fact, they're two opposites. Death is what stops a marriage. Why would a day of death, a day of passing, be called a wedding? So the cynic in me might say, as Woody Allen would always say, because marriage is the death of hope. Or as I always say, the teacher once asked the students if they know the definition between complete and finished. And he says, if you marry the right woman, you're complete. If you marry the wrong woman, you're finished. And if the right woman catches you with the wrong woman, you're completely finished. But the point is, why would we call a wedding, why would we call a day of death, a day of a Yartzeit, Hilula, a wedding? And yes, there's many rabbis afterwards that have made their day of passing a Hilula, but Rabbi Shimon Yartzeit is the first one, and why is it? So to understand this, I need to teach you something in the esoteric part of Torah. And to appreciate it, we'll need to take an enigmatic discussion in the Talmud and give you the deeper meaning to understand what Chassidus brought to the world, what Kabbalah did, and hopefully we'll be able to understand this. In the Gemara it says that Shmuel, the famous sage Shmuel, told his student Rabbi Yehuda, Leich chatoife chol chatoife shtei, grab and eat, grab and drink, because the world we live in is like a wedding day, is like a fleeting wedding. So of course, we know that Shmuel was a great sage. He wasn't trying to tell a student Rabbi Yehuda to be a glutton, to eat and drink all day. So what was the message he was trying to tell him? So Rashi right away says that he was telling him a very simple message. Sometimes we're worried to spend our money. We're worried to enjoy our life because we're saving for tomorrow. We're worried about what's going to be tomorrow. But by the time tomorrow comes, tomorrow's gone. The world is so quick, life is so quick, and some people are always worrying. They never enjoy life. They're always worried what's going to be tomorrow. How are they going to celebrate tomorrow? How are they going to live tomorrow? They're saving for college, they're saving for their kids, they're saving for their retirement, they're saving for their grandkids, and by the time they turn around, there's no life. So Rashi says that Shmuel was teaching his student, listen, he says, just like a wedding is a fleeting moment. It's one night, right? It's a quick thing. Same thing in the world. If you're going to go and enjoy and worry about the whole time, tomorrow you'll never enjoy life because it's too fleeting, it's too short. Very profound message. But why does he compare it to a wedding? He could have said that the world we live in is like a day, is like a sun shower, is like a dream. Or he could have said it's like the rabbi's sermon, which feels so long but is so short really because it's so enjoyable. But why would he say that it's like a wedding day? Why the comparison to a wedding? So let me tell you something about a wedding. You see, a wedding is a very interesting thing because when people get married, it's a very limiting and restricting event. Because till you get married, you can dance to your own heartbeat. You do whatever you want. But once you get married, suddenly there's two heartbeats. You can't just go out to party with your friends. You can't just go out to get manicures with your friends. There's someone else. There's a husband. There's a wife. And we're wired very differently. So it's very restrictive. Suddenly, everything I do, I have to think about somebody else and something else. As opposed to when I was single, where I did whatever I wanted. But you know what else God did in this world? He made this world in a way that the only way for us to have children is through marriage and intimacy. If you stay single, you can enjoy your life as much as you want. But you can't have children. And you see, there's something interesting about children. Everything in this world is temporary. Here today, gone tomorrow. A week, a year. The biggest companies in the world, Enron, Lehman Brothers, they're all gone. We're in a financial crisis now. Who knows what will be here tomorrow? We already see restaurants folding, companies closing. They're here today, gone tomorrow. But when you have children, the children stay forever. They have children, and after them they have children, and after them they have children. We're only here today because thousands of years ago, men and women got married and had relationships and had intimacy. And that's why we're here. The cities they built, the towns they had, crumbled by far. The companies they made are gone. But we're here today, thousands of years later, because they got married. So marriage is something very unique. From one side, it's very limiting. It's very restraining. But when you get married, it matures you. It lets you reach your potential. It lets you recognize 1 second. There's something deeper within me, a strength that allows me to grow, that allows me to become a better person. But most importantly, it's only through marriage that we have children, that we are able to become from finite people to infinite people. So as restrictive as marriage is, that's how much it allows us to become infinite. But you see, our marriage is really our second marriage. The first marriage we have is immediately when a person's born. The soul and the body become married. The soul is up in heaven, in the celestial abode, and suddenly it has to come down to this world, to a material world, and has to live in a body. It's extremely restrictive, you see, because the body focuses on self-gratification, on enjoying the today. The soul wants to transcend. The body worries about itself. It's finite. The soul is infinite. It worries about others. One is selfish, one is selfless. So here, the moment we're born, our bodies and souls get married. It's very restrictive. You know the story they say about this farmer who once married a king's daughter. And he brought her to his farm, and one day he taught her how to milk the cow, and the other day he taught her how to clean the horses, and the next day he taught her how to feed the cows, how to bundle the hay, but she wasn't happy. So he went to the king and he said, "Listen, king, I'm doing everything I could to make my wife happy, but she's not happy. Maybe give me some advice." So the king looks at the farm. He says, "Listen, you're a fine, nice young man, and you're trying so hard. But all the things you're doing, you don't understand. The princess, she's used to royalty, and that's the thing that makes her happy. Says the mystics, the same things with the body and the soul. Suddenly, the soul gets married to the body and becomes totally restrictive. And the soul is stressed because the soul wants transcendence, it wants spirituality, it wants holiness. And the body says, oh, you're stressed, don't worry, wait till you see the breakfast I give you. Oh boy, you know what I have for lunch for you? It's something you can never imagine. And for dinner, the steaks are serving already. But to the soul, that's the wrong language. The soul wants transcendence. So we live a life. We take the soul on fancy vacations. We take the soul to beautiful cruises. And we buy the soul summer homes. But the soul is limited. And when you're married, even in a marriage, you can get a couple of hours, maybe with permission, you get a break, you go out. But the soul could never get a break from the body. It's married for life. But yet, within that restriction, within that challenge, the rabbis tell us, is the possibility of the soul to grow. Because you see, only when the soul comes down to this world and marries the body, so to speak, is it able to transcend and become beyond what it is. Because you need to understand something. The body, the soul on its own, can't grow. It is what it is. But when you come down to this world and through hard work, we do mitzvot, which are like the children. We create good deeds. Suddenly, the soul might have been restricted in the body, but it reaches to a moment and to a place where it transcends, where it's able to grow, where it's able to become even greater, where it's able to be something more spiritual. Just like when the husband and wife marry, they become restricted, yet only through that they reach their true potential and they're able to turn from finite to infinite. The same was with the soul. The soul becomes limited when it comes into the body, but it's only through the body that the soul is able to grow to a deeper, to a greater level. You know, back in Brooklyn in the 1940s, Sammy Reshevsky, who was a famous chess prodigy and later a leading American chess grandmaster, he won, I think, 8 U.S. chess masters, and he was a second and third in the grandmaster. He was a great man. In fact, when Bobby Fischer had health issues and so on, they sent Sam Reshevsky went to help him. And Sam Reshevsky lived in Brooklyn. And in the 1940s, he was in Crown Heights. And one time in his merit, the Rebbe gave a spiritual explanation to what a chess game is. And the Rebbe said like this, you know, today everyone's playing chess. There's a lot of chess tournaments. We're all home in quarantine. People are playing chess. There's schools that are giving online chess. Some of our community, especially the Russians, they love chess. It's something they thrive for and they play always. In Chabad community, from when we were young kids, we love chess and we played it a lot. But the Rebbe says like this, what's a chess game? There's the king. The king is God. And then there's the queen. The queen is the Shekhinah. It's the feminine aspect of God that spreads itself in the world, the light of God that impacts the world. Then you have the bishop, the knights, and the rooks, right? You have the horses, you have the bishops, and you have, some would say, the castle, whatever you would call it. Those things, they fly. They could, look at them. They could go across the board. They could fly from one end to the other. They're able to jump over pieces. They're able to knock pieces far away. Brilliant. Those represent the angels. When we pray in the morning, we speak about 3 types of angels. Srafim, v'chayis, v'yifanim. Those 3 angels are represented by the bishop, the knight, and the rook. But then there's the pawns. They're small. They're tinier than anything else, and they go very slow, one step at a time. And they only go in one direction. They can't go backwards. They can't go sideways like the bishop, the rook, and the castle. Those represent the human being. But you see something? Think about this. What happens when the pawn reaches the other side of the board? The pawn becomes a queen. The bishop, the rook, the castle, they could fly across back and forth, but they don't change. They stay the same. Says the Rebbe, The same is in this world. You see, God put us on this world, the pawns. We might move slowly. We're human beings. We're finite. He put our soul in a body. He put a marriage together that restricts the soul. It doesn't allow it to jump, to fly. But at the same point, only through the soul entering the body does it turn from finite to infinite. It becomes transformative. It's able to turn from a pawn to a queen. Once it turns into this world and it does mitzvahs, then it becomes like the queen, the divine Shekhinah. You see, that's what Shmuel was telling Rabbi Yehuda. I'm taking you full circle around. He was telling him a much deeper explanation here. He says, listen, student. He says, this world, grab and eat, grab and take whatever you want, because this world is like a wedding. Just like a wedding. When one marries another, when a woman marries a man, they become restrictive. But yet only through that do they come from finite to infinite, and only through that do they reach their true potential. The same is with this world. You come to this world and the soul says, what am I doing here? I'm going to live 60, 70, 80 years. There's bitterness, there's hard work, there's challenges, there's struggles, there's emotional challenges, there's hurt, someone passes away, there's divorce, there's marriage, there's so many things that go through someone's life. Says Shmuel to his student, I want to teach you something important about this world. This world is like a behilula. It's like a wedding. It's fleeting. It's only here for a moment. But more importantly, just like a wedding is the two things together that restrict the husband and wife, yet through that they grow. The same thing this world. So grab whatever you can, he says. He says, listen, Rabbi Yehuda, you're my student. Grab every moment God gives you in this world. Do something. Change. Have an impact on this world. Because this is the opportunity that God gave you. And that's why, you're listening, Rabbi Shimon Yartzeit was the first sage whose day of passing became called a wedding. Because you see, when a tzaddik, when a righteous person passes away, it's the culmination of all that he did in this world. It's when the soul is able to truly transcend. It's when the children come to fruition. And Rabbi Shimon Yartzeit, he was the first one who taught us. When you look at the Torah, you look at the rules of the Torah from the first perspective, it's restrictive. Do this. Don't drive on Shabbos. Don't be on your phone. Don't eat non-kosher. Kiss the mezuzah, wrap tefillin. It's very restrictive. But Rabbi Shimon Yartzeit taught us that this restriction, when you look into the depth of it, it's the spiritual soul. There's so much meaning. There's so much esoteric part. It really elevates us. It allows us to become from finite to infinite. It allows us to grow exponentially. So Rabbi Shimon Yartzeit, who was the one who wrote the Zohar and the one who taught us the secrets of the Torah, the first one, it was at his day of his passing that was called a funeral, a wedding. Because this was the day of the culmination of all that work of the soul being in the body and able to transcend and able to have his children able to grow to a culmination of all the good things that he did. So today's a very special day. It's a day of opportunity. It's a day for us to realize the blessings that God gave us just through our struggle, through our challenges, through our temptations. Sometimes we get down with ourselves. Look at me. I have bad thoughts. I have naughty thoughts. I hurt somebody. I did something wrong. Could I? No, that's part of the struggle. That's the body. But then there's the soul within us. And through feeding our soul with spirituality, we're able to accomplish. We become like pawns. We become queens. We don't stay bishops, kings, and rooks. Rooks and castles. We were able to grow. So I want to say one more thing. Today's a special day of prayer, a special day for blessings, for all the things that we wish for. And we have a tradition that on today in Chabad, it was one of the most special days by the Rebbe. The Rebbe had a parade for thousands of people, and the Rebbe spoke deep esoteric parts of Torah, but the Rebbe also gave tremendous blessings for children, for health, and things like that. So I recommend maybe today you sit down and you pen a note and asking for the blessings you need in your life. And you could fax it or email it to the Rebbe's graveside. They'll put it there today for a blessing. You go to ohel, O-H-E-L, at ohel.org. O-H-E-L at ohel.org. Write in the note, ask for a prayer, or in the comments on this, tell me your name, in your mother's name, and I'm happy to send in a prayer for you. May it be a day when all our prayers are fulfilled. May the light and the celebration of Shimon Bar Yochai, who gave us the Zohar, who gave us mysticism, who gave us Chassidism, may it shine upon all of us for blessing, for health, for happiness, and for an end to all these struggles and challenges we're having. Have a great day, celebrate well, and may we enjoy this momentous occasion.